Welcome once again to my YouTube channel on data analysis and research. Today we are going to look at study designs. We want to explore the various categories of studies and study designs that are commonly used in scientific research. We will not be delving into the details of each of the studies or the study designs, but our aim is to just look at the broad categories of study designs so that later in follow-up videos, tutorials, I will now take each of the study designs and then go into details what is involved, when it is used, the advantages and then the disadvantages of each of the study designs. But today our aim is just to look at the broader groups of studies and the study designs. So before we look at study designs, first we have to look at the type of studies or study types. So in broader terms, we have qualitative studies, we have quantitative studies, and then we have the mixed method studies. So as I said, I will not want to go into details, but in brief, qualitative studies are usually suitable when you are dealing with issues regarding perceptions, opinions, uh, usually that perceptions of things that are not cannot be concretely measured. So a perception is difficult to measure. Somebody's opinion, somebody's feeling cannot be measured in concrete terms or in discrete data. So usually qualitative studies are suitable in that area. So they are normally used in ethnography, societal studies, so religious, ethnic, lived experience, those kind of studies that are suitable for qualitative. Then we have quantitative. So this is where actual measurements can be made. So here uh, things can be measured and quantified, and then the quantified data can now be analyzed. So mostly useful in the medical field, engineering, and other areas where you can actually measure. So you are measuring blood, cholesterol, or you are measuring uh, temperature, or you are measuring blood pressure. So these are quantifiable. So they are called quantitative studies. Now we have the mixed methods, which now they say is the best. So that it is not easy to quantify somebody's perception. It's not also easy to perceive an illness. So you have to mix. So now it is very common in medical research that you look at both the quantitative and the qualitative side because diseases, not only disease in all fields, emotions, perceptions, psychology, and all things also affect other aspects. So even in housing for a city, perceptions and then emotions, ethnic diversity, all these things, religious affiliations, political opinions, affects everyday lives, including health. So they now advocate that usually mixed methods are more suitable. So you should have the qualitative aspect of the issue and then look at the quantitative aspect of it. So mixed methods is not the new frontier when it comes to studies. So we will delve into details in subsequent videos. So now we look at study designs. So study designs can also be grouped into two categories in broader terms. So two categories. So this grouping is based on the researcher's position. So it's based on the researcher's position. So one, whether the researcher is an observer, he just observes and does not have anything to do with the study population, then you call it observational. But if the researcher will intervene or disturb the environment or some aspect of the life of the research population or study population, then they are called experimental or intervention studies. So in that case, something is manipulated in order to get an outcome. But if nothing is manipulated regarding the study population, then it's called observational. So under observational, we have descriptive. So descriptive, as the name entails, it just describes, it's just a narrative of what you have seen or the data you have gathered, and does not necessarily involve any comparison group. So there's nothing to compare. It's just a case you are describing. So we have case reports. We will look into detail in subsequent videos, but case report is just, let's say, a single case, a rare case of a disease that a physician encounters in a ward. They want to describe the condition. So that's just a case report. A case series, you've seen more than one, so two or more similar cases. They look alike in their presentation, then you describe them. So that forms a case series. Cross-sectional is also can be descriptive. It can also be analytic. So when we get there, when we're looking at the detail, we'll look at that. So cross-sectional study could be descriptive because there's usually not comparison group. So you can describe what information have been gathered. Then ecological studies, they are studies that are done at the population level. In ecological studies, the sample size is the population, or the not sample size, the study sample covers the entire population. It's not about individual. So the results are normally pertaining to the population. So it's done at the population level and not at the individual level. But it can also be mixed. So you can have partial ecological, where you have some of the data at the individual level and the other part at the population level is now partial ecological. So where there's a comparative group, where there's a group to compare, that is when you have the analytical studies. So in that case, cross-sectional comes in again because after sampling and data analysis, you can categorize the data to now have two groups that you can compare. So in that case, it becomes analytical. You are comparing one group to the other based on the outcome. So it becomes analytical study. Then case control. So you have your cases with a disease condition compared to non-disease or healthy group. That's case control. Then cohort studies are longitudinal studies where a group of people at baseline who are free of a disease condition are followed for a period of time and then tested over time. So at the end of the study, some people might develop the condition, others will not. Then they form the groups. You now compare the two, compare the exposures. What were they exposed to that might have led to the disease? So that becomes a cohort study. So these are all observational studies. So descriptive and analytical studies, they are all, they fall under observational studies. Then we have the experimental. This is the most robust type of study, the preferred type of study, but they are also very expensive and time consuming. So this is where something is done. There's an intervention. The study population is manipulated in one way or the other to see what will happen, the outcome. So it could be a clinical trial or randomized control trial. It can be non-randomized or quasi-experimental. So these are all types of studies that fall under experimental studies. So yeah, in brief, these are the type of studies and study designs. So subsequent videos will take them one by one study design at a time, and then look at them in detail so that there will be better understanding. So thank you for your time, and look out for me in subsequent videos where we'll explore into detail the study designs that are commonly used in research. See you next time. Bye.